Family, Brothers, Suddenly Human, Remember Me, and Legacy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing our special Season 4 review for Next Generation. I really just read off like episodes 2 through 6 because I kind of like that little run right there. It's nice names. How are you today, Sirach?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
So everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. Also, come visit us on patreon.com/the7th-rule. We are going to run through every single episode of Season 4 rapid fire. It's going to be like a trailer for each episode, starting with, if you remember this, it's going to be a trip down memory lane, Sirach, all the way back to episode 1, Best of Both Worlds. Part 2. Can you believe that was this season that Picard was a Borg?
Yeah. I mean, they ended this last season with a really good cliffhanger and then started up again with this one. It's crazy because it feels so far long ago, right? That he was a Borg. Like so much stuff happened after that that this was just basically this episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
So that was pretty big. I thought that the second one, Best of Both Worlds Part 2, was not quite as good as Best of Both Worlds Part 1. Yeah, 2 was not as good as 1. Part 1 was amazing. Yeah. Part 2 was good. But it also kind of led into episode 2, which was Family. And that was a good one because that was when Picard goes back home and sees his brother and his nephew, and they have the little mud wrestling battle. Remember that? So this was kind of like a three-parter thing. You remember that one?
Yeah, because now that was like him going through that PTSD of having the whole 359 experience and battling it out with his brother over some grapes. Yeah, I remember that episode. It was a Les Landau, Ronald Moore episode.
Mm-hmm. That's a very memorable episode because of that scene for me. I remember that one from way back in the day because I was like, why are they fighting so pathetically? What is going on? And then I finally get it. Oh, I see. They're brothers. They're not actually trying to kill each other. This is okay. And then it got like a lot more endearing watching it as an adult, actually. Speaking of brothers, episode 3 was Brothers. That was with Data and Lore. If you'll remember that, he goes to see Dr. Noonien Soong. Data does. And we had a very special guest. We had Randy James, who was like the hand model. He also did a lot of background stuff. But that was a good one because we got to meet Dr. Noonien Soong, who was the guy that created Data.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I had it at an 8.1. So anything over an 8 is a good episode to me. So yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. So wait, do you?
They were dealing with the emotion ship, right? That was Lore with the emotion. So Lore, this is the beginning of the lore of Lore, right?
Yeah, we met him in like the end of the first season or the second season. But we get to know really their whole family backstory, because we meet his dad and we find out how he was built and why and all these things. It was really cool. And of course, Brent Spiner plays his dad, Dr. Noonien Soong, which is interesting. But then we
By the way, that was a Rick Berman episode too, when the first one he wrote.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Good start. But I didn't know, Sirach, that you write down your overall point system when you're taking your notes. That's cool.
Yeah. I write them down so I can remember what I thought it was. So when I go back for the rewatch, I can know which one to skip.
So episode 4 was Suddenly Human, directed by Gabrielle Beaumont. This was not one of my favorites. This was one but it had a really good conundrum at the end. Remember where we're supposed to decide, wait, should this kid go back to Earth with his human family that's waiting for him, that sent him a little Snapchat video about themselves, or should he stay with the only father that he's really known? So it actually ended up being much more impressive than I expected.
Yeah, wasn't my favorite either, but it did bring up that kind of debate on whether which one is the best way to go. Um, we also had Picard playing racquetball in that episode. I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting episode about the kind of choices that they make on the show.
Yeah, I feel like I was in the minority when I said, actually, I think that Picard made the wrong decision in bringing the kid back, because then I started looking at it from his biological family's point of view, and I was like, if your son and his wife were killed and your grandchild was kidnapped, and the authorities finally found your grandchild 10 years later, but then said, sorry, we didn't have the heart to rip him away from that guy. I'd go scorched earth on those guys. I'd be like, get me my grandchild, So, but that's what's great about this. There's so many ways to view it. I mean, obviously, what he did, we completely understand why he did it.
Yeah, we had the Talarians in that one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. It's one of those things where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Totally. And then,
yeah.
And then
what didn't sell it that hard was that the parents sent the video and didn't really make it.
No, that was weak. That was lame. That's lame to me.
Yeah, that was lame. You gotta, I mean, go show up and
they sent him a Snapchat, dude.
Yeah, they're like, hey, bro, we miss you. It's been like 20 years. Where you been? All right, hit me up when you get a chance.
If you want, whatever.
If you want to. Yeah, no rush.
Now, but after that, we had my favorite Beverly Crusher episode, Remember Me. And this is a very memorable episode for me. I love it. I think it's great. I think that Gates McFadden's amazing in it. What did you think of it?
I don't remember me. I don't remember.
It was the one where the universe kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and so people on the ship disappeared, and it was suddenly there was 100 people, and then 20 people, and then it was just her and Picard, and then he was gone, and then it was just like this really cool concept of people just disappearing and her being trapped in this universe that was getting smaller.
Yeah, that I did like. Yeah, now I'm remembering. Yeah, it was a great concept. And then fools were just vanishing on her, so that was kind of crazy. Yeah, that was a great episode.
Mm-hmm. And I can always tell. I was gonna say I can always tell when Sirach's gonna like an episode, because this could have easily been a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's my metric right there. As soon as you said that premise, I thought, oh, Twilight Zone.
Totally, because it's true. It could be on the Enterprise, or it could be anything. It could be on this generic sci-fi anything.
Yeah.
But then next, this episode was directed by Terry Matalas. Oh wait, that's a different Legacy. This one is.
I had A+ for Remember Me. So yeah, there's my A+ I gave it.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, it was a great episode.
Right? You kind of write like comic book writing. It kind of looks like stylish, like I'm looking at a comic book there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes it does look like a comic book. Yeah. That's because I grew up reading a whole bunch of comic books.
Love that stuff, man. So yeah, Legacy was next. Okay, this is when
the Legacy, right? Was it the Legacy?
Just Legacy, I think.
Just Legacy. Okay.
This is when we meet Tasha Yar's sister, and remember, she flirts like crazy with Data, and Data starts to fall for her, and then he kills her.
Yeah. Tasha Yar has really gotten a lot of tribute for a character from the first season, right? We're 3 seasons later, and her storyline is ripples throughout this show, which is very good. I think that's a very honorable way to pay homage to a character that gave her all. and was so liked. But yeah, Tasha Yar.
You know what I'm
I
realizing?
remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just was going to comment on her sister's hairdo, but yes, I remember that. Shara Yar.
Yep, that's the one. Um, I knew that the beginning of season 4, those first couple episodes is, like the episode called Family and the next one is called Brothers, that this was a very family oriented first few episodes. But now I'm looking at it, I'm
Yeah.
like, it really stretches out for like 7 episodes because you have family, you have brother, you have suddenly brothers, you have suddenly human, which is about this guy's family and him going back to his family or coming with his new family. You have Remember
Yeah.
Me, which was her family's disappearing, and her son is who came up with the thing to bring her back. Then you have Legacy, which is about family. Now the next one, episode 7, is called Reunion, where Worf sees this lady again, Kalar, who he had a child with, and he meets his new family member, Alexander, his new son. Every episode's about family. So what do you think of Alexander?
He was all right. He was all right. Was this the episode where the mom gets killed in front of him? Yeah, that was kind of
Yep.
super sad. That bloody scene and stuff. Yeah, I remember that. That was stood out. This was a Jonathan Frakes directed episode.
Yeah, he's like, Dad, Mom's got blood wine all over her face.
He was like, "Look at it.
Yeah.
Stand here and look at it." I'm like,
Creep.
what?
Yeah, Worf, maybe you shouldn't be a dad. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But we had a great guest, Mr. Robert O'Reilly, joining us that day, which was a lot of fun because Gowron was in that episode. Love that dude. Not the last time that we had him as a guest this season.
Yeah.
But speaking of guests,
actually drew a picture of him. It's called Gowron Smiling.
That is spot on. Gowron the Muppet.
Yeah, Gowron the Muppet, baby.
So the next one, we also had a special guest. Great find. Christopher Demetral, Future Imperfect. Christopher Demetral played that cool kid that was playing all these weird mind games with Riker. That was him. We caught him in, was he New Mexico or Arizona? I think he was in Arizona, maybe. And anyway, great guest. Trippy episode.
Trippy episode. It was not the most standout of them all, and actually a diversion away from the family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the first non-family episode of this season, right?
You're right. Yeah.
And
then we had Final Mission after that, which is when we lose Wesley Crusher, unfortunately. He goes off to Starfleet Academy. Remember, he's like, you need to listen to Captain Picard more, or whatever like that. Like, you get you somebody that gives you the wingman status like Wesley Crusher does, because Wesley Crusher totally defends Picard's honor in that episode. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, we used to call that teacher's pet. He went way too hard on that, but yeah, Wesley's exit, was kind of the natural progression for his character for where he was going. He's moved on, he's gotten the training and the experience, and now it's time for him to go through the whole Starfleet protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was okay to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, I had one of the most beautiful moments that we've seen so far in 4 seasons to me, which was when Picard thinks he's dying and he says, "Oh, I envy you. The adventure's just beginning." And that was it was beautiful. It was sold so well. An aging man that thinks he's dying.
Yeah.
And he's like looking at you like, wow, your adventure's just about to start. I envy you. That's beautiful.
Yeah. It was also a lot. We've seen the growth between the Wesley and Picard relationship. Because Picard started off pretty tough on Wesley, and then we saw towards the end he was really rooting for him. So that was a good arc for their storylines.
Yeah, episode 10 is The Loss. Oh, this was the one where Deanna Troi loses her empathic abilities, right? So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one was was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. I was a little. I mean,
hey, they can't all be home runs.
they can't all be home runs, but you have empathy because I guess that was something that's it's one of her senses, so it's like losing one of your senses. I just felt like it was a little stretched out and exaggerated.
But it was followed by one of the best and quintessential Star Trek episodes. So good. I remember at the beginning of the season, I successfully predicted that Jason Oaken's favorite episode was this one, Data's Day. Because I know Jason Oaken. I'm like, I predict your favorite is Data's Day. He said, yeah, that's one of my favorite, or that's my favorite. And he named one other one, but it's a great one because the Borg aren't attacking, the ship isn't blowing up. We're just following Data on a regular day, and it's just really fun and interesting and charming.
Yeah, he's the lifeblood of this show. We see pretty much everything through Data's eyes. I feel like he's the person that the audience relates to, or at least to watch him unfold these experiences. So I think through his lens is where we really get a lot of entertainment. So Data's Day was a great episode, yeah.
And then we have The Wounded, which was a Cardassian actually played by Mark Alimo that was not Gul Dukat. So that was fun to see him, and he had like this weird head thing that he was wearing, and that's mostly what I remember from that episode. We got a little bit more Keiko O'Brien, which was fun, and we dealt with Chief O'Brien's racism, which was really interesting because Star Trek's not afraid to go deep sometimes, and this time it did. And he and his buddy, I forgot the captain's name, but they don't like Cardassians, and they don't like them a little too much. You know what I mean? Even though they went through a lot, but there's some PTSD there too.
Yeah, and that's just an example of Star Trek talking about themes that we have, to deal with here in present times and taking it into a different context and, talking about it. Um, sometimes, sometimes you can sense people's hatred for different species. I think Worf is another one that kind of hates. What does he hate?
Romulans.
He hates Romulans, right? Right.
Yeah,
So there is this kind of racism that goes on, which is actually part of any integration of any kind of cultural integration. When you have that, when you introduce a new culture into an already existing environment or an alliance of some sort, there's going to be a time of adjustment. There's going to be a time of people facing these kinds of prejudice and racism and being scapegoated for all kinds of things. So it's really real, and I think Star Trek did a great job of talking about it in this episode.
The final episode of the first half of season 4, Devil's Due. This is a very memorable one for me as well from when I was a kid because it shows Ardra, this alien lady that's pretending to be the devil, coming back to collect what is owed her. And it just has a really interesting theme of like, hey, anybody can pretend they're a god if they have superior technology and visiting, a race that doesn't have that technology. Really good one. Really good episode.
Yeah, and Picard really, from my memory, kind of shines in that episode because he's the voice of reason and logic, where other people may have been convinced that, hey, this person is not to be messed with. Picard was super skeptical. He was like the magician watching the magic act, saying, "No, there's a trick in here somewhere. I'm not buying it. This guy's not really invisible, or
he's not really slicing a woman in half."
Right. Right. So that was well played by Picard.
Yeah, good stuff. We're already to the halfway mark. Let's take a break and come right back for the other half on The Seventh Rule.